Hey friends, in today's video we are talking about makeup over 40. So what does that mean? I'm going to be sharing with you my tips, techniques, placement changes, products, formulas, things that I've changed to my makeup routine as I've gotten a little bit older and as my skin has changed. Let's get started. So before we start the video, I want to just share a little message on aging. I will say that I actually look forward to getting older. I was really excited to turn 40 this year. I feel amazing. I honestly can say I feel better today than I did in my early 30s. So I think aging is an honor, and I don't necessarily look at aging as a bad thing. But in terms of makeup, I just wanted to share kind of like how my makeup techniques, my products, my application style has changed and evolved as I get a little bit older and as my skin starts to change a bit. And my face, the facial structure, things just start to change, and I in turn kind of adjust my makeup style, products, preference, all of the above. So when it comes to foundation, I would say around 35 or 36 is when I started to notice just I couldn't really wear the same products that I had worn in my mid-20s. Makeup just looked a little different on my skin. It wasn't an overnight thing. Even now, I look in the mirror and you know what? I like what I see. I don't think that I have bad skin. I don't think that my skin looks unflattering by any means, but I will say when I use certain products, sometimes it actually emphasizes and brings out texture on my skin that I don't even notice when I'm bare face. There is something to the saying that less is more. I truly believe that. I think that sometimes makeup can actually make our skin look worse than it does barefaced. So with that said, let's talk about foundation. One of my favorite foundations to use that I think just looks really beautiful on my skin and really on everyone's skin is the Light Reflecting Foundation by NARS. And the reason that this foundation looks beautiful is because it has a very beautiful, natural, kind of soft, radiant finish. Now, I want to emphasize the word soft radiance because I have never been one to love a radiant finish foundation because I am all about doing your makeup in the morning, taking that time to do your makeup, put your face on, look your best, but then not having to worry about it for the rest of the day. I'm not someone that likes to go in and check my makeup throughout the day and reapply. So I want something long wearing, and radiant skin foundations can tend to look a little bit more shiny and get progressively shiny as the day goes on. So this one does not, though. I'm saying that because this one is a very soft, natural radiance and it looks good all day. Also, a little bit of this goes a long way. Looking for foundations that have really nice spreadability and really glide across the skin nicely and spread beautifully is what you want to look for. If you're using a foundation that sets and dries really quickly and you're not able to spread it and make it go further on your skin, then that foundation is likely going to dry down and look heavy and cakey and emphasize texture and fine lines. Now, when it comes to application, I always start in the center of my face, and I know this is being redundant if you watch my content because I always say this, but I always start in the center of my face because that's usually where I need the most coverage. My approach to makeup is I use a lot of products. I love makeup. That's why I'm here on YouTube. But my goal is to use very little bitty layers of makeup. I don't want a lot of products and a lot of heavy layers. So I always start where I need the most coverage. I will use my brush and press into the skin. I like the 106 BK Beauty buffer brush. If you're new to my channel, by the way, my name is Lisa and I'm actually the founder of BK Beauty. So I want to give that little disclaimer. I use only BK Beauty brushes. I am the founder, so I love my brushes. I go in and I just press because you're going to build and get the most coverage from the least amount of product. Now, when I get out to the perimeter of my face, what I will do then is I will go in large circular motions or sweeping motions and kind of shear that product out. Another thing I will say about applying foundation, the best way to apply just what you need and not more is to do this technique of applying it to the back of your hand or a palette or some other surface and going in with your brush and just getting the tip of your brush with product kind of blotting on your hand and then going to the skin. There are many different ways to apply foundation. I see some people actually do this, where they take the foundation and they squeeze it on the face and they squeeze it on the face. And I think that that makes interesting content. It's visually kind of cool to see that. But I mean, honestly, realistically, throughout the day, that's just way too much product, more than you need. And I also see people that will go and kind of dot it on the skin with their finger. I've certainly done that in the past. I'm sure you can go back in my library videos and find me doing that. So I never want to say, that anything is wrong. What I will say about that technique is the one thing you might run into is that if your foundation dries and sets a little quicker, by the time you get to blending an area out, it might have already kind of set and dried down a bit, meaning it's going to be harder for you to blend it out. So that's one con of doing that way. And another con of doing that way is you might apply more than you actually need. So I like to work in little bitty sections and just take my time with skin. I think that is another thing I've changed over the years. I used to just slap foundation on real quick and then I would spend all this time on my eye makeup. And I've actually kind of reversed that. I spend a lot more time on my skin and less time on my eyes. I tend to overblend. Oh my gosh, this just looks so beautiful. I don't know if we can zoom in here to the skin, but the skin just looks like flawless, natural. There's this really pretty soft radiance happening, but it's not overly shiny. I just love it. It's so, so good. Okay, you guys, let's talk about under eyes and concealer. A lot to share here. I have a few different hacks that I want to share. The first one is this guy right here. This is my little secret weapon. This is the Colleen Rothschild Illuminating Tinted Eye Cream. Why I love this product. This is an eye cream, so it's a skincare product. As you can see, it has a peach tone to it. It also is extremely illuminating. I'm going to show you on my hand here as I blend this out. Do you see how bright that makes the skin? Before I completely blend this out, I want you to see. You can completely blend this out to where it is transparent, but you're left with this beautiful illuminating finish. I love to use this under the eyes for concealer. The key with this product is just use a tiny bit. You don't need a lot because it goes a long way. This is not only going to nourish and hydrate underneath the eye, prepping it for concealer, but it's also going to cancel out darkness, neutralize that darkness because of that peachy tone, and brighten under the eyes, which will allow you to use less concealer. And you guys, if there is one tip you take away from this video, it is to use less concealer. Concealer can often be what is our culprit. It's the culprit and the whole makeup application. And I have said this a lot, but I will say it again if this is your first video of mine. The skin under eyes tends to be the thinnest and the driest on the face. Now, it also is the place where we start to show expression lines more. You know, we smile, we're always making, you know, these expressions with our face, and that little skin creases and folds, and over time you have fine lines, wrinkles, expression lines, signs of a happy life, whatever you might want to call it. But when you use a product that's as heavy as concealer, very heavy pigmented product, on top of thin, dry, textured skin, it's just going to, it can be very unflattering and it could make the under eye area look very heavy and just emphasize all of that texture. And it's usually not something that you see right away. Usually you'll apply your concealer and then it's not until you look in the mirror at your lunch break or at the end of the day that you're like, oh my gosh, my under eyes look so dry. And it's typically because we've applied too much concealer. So this is a great technique to do. It's gonna allow you to use less concealer. Another little hack that I have that I've shared before is using like a hyaluronic serum underneath your eye just before applying concealer. Now, you can also use your eye cream. I like to use a lighter weight serum in addition to an eye cream. So use your eye cream in the morning when you're doing your skincare, but then just before you apply your makeup, have a little handy dandy lightweight hyaluronic serum. I have one from Colleen Rothschild. This is the hyaluronic serum. I have the Beauty Prep serum from Jane Iredale. This is a hyaluronic serum. I also have this option from Target. This is the Botanical Collagen Eye Serum. It's a volumizing eye serum, so this also plumps up the skin. All three of these products will just hydrate the skin and plump up the under eye area, just getting it really ready for concealer. Even though they don't have a peach tint or an illuminating property, it will also help your concealer go a long way because you are putting something very plumping and moisturizing under the eye, so it's going to help that concealer spread. You can do either. You can do any of these like lightweight serums, or you can use this. You can use something similar to this. You don't have to have these exact brand names, but you get the idea. So now let's go in with concealer. I'm using the Pat McGrath Sublime Perfection Concealer. I'm the shade LM9. Choosing a concealer that has a nice consistency, that's hydrating, and that blends really easily is my best recommendation. Always start with less. When you pull this out, you are likely to have way more product that you need, so go ahead and kind of like swipe off the excess amount of product. Now, what I like to do is I like to apply a little bit in the inner corner because I have a little bit of like a green vein there that you can see. And then I will apply some right up here to kind of lift the eye. Now, instead of going in and, you know, swiping this all underneath my eye, I don't need that much product. What I'll do is I'll just place it in those two corners. And then you can either go with your finger and you can kind of spread the product together. So now you have coverage underneath the eye, or you can use your brush too. I just wanted to show you for the sake of like simplicity, use your finger. However, I do find that you need to go in with a brush to blend out. I'm using the Angie Hot and Flashy BK Beauty A506, and I'm just pressing this underneath the eye to blend everything out. So I would look for concealers that give you the amount of coverage that you need and no more. There are so many varieties of concealer out there, and you want to find the right one for you. It might be a lot of trial and error, but look for something that has, I really love serum concealers. If you see the word serum in a concealer, that usually means it's going to be lightweight and it's going to spread really easily. Concealers that are in little pots and they're more like a solid concealer, those tend to be a little heavier, but you can blend them out and get something nice and soft. You just want to, I would use your finger in that case. Just use your finger and apply it to the skin that way to warm it up. Make it go a little further and spread a little bit better. This one's really nice. There have been a lot of really great concealer launches this year. I've been loving the Tula Skincare Serum Concealer. That one's nice. It's not full coverage, but it's very light and hydrating. I've also been enjoying the Tower 28 concealer. The Makeup by Mario, that's more of a full coverage concealer. The key, you guys, is just using less. You can always go back and add more if you feel like you didn't get enough coverage or you need more. But oftentimes I think the one makeup mistake that we make is just over applying product, over applying foundation, over applying concealer, over applying powder. Those three products right there can really accentuate texture and just make the skin look worse off than just bare, beautiful skin. Also remember that concealer and foundation is really meant to hide and camouflage discoloration, but it's not really meant to hide or camouflage texture. I think that's an area that we kind of confuse the two. It's like you might have blemishes, you know, darkness, redness that you want to conceal with a foundation, and that'll do it. But applying a lot of concealer or foundation on top of areas that are textured is not going to help your case. It's probably going to make it worse. Okay, so another little change that I've made to my makeup routine are brows. Now, as I've gotten a little older, my brows seem to be vanishing. I don't have a lot of brow. Not only do I not have a lot of hair like filled in, but I don't have a lot of volume. I guess those are hand in hand, right? It's kind of the same thing. But I have areas where the brow is missing, and then where I do have brow, it's just very thin and sparse. So I actually have a two-product approach to my brows. I will go in with a pencil. Today I'm using the Precisely My Brow Pencil from Benefit, and I will use this first to create the shape that I want for my brow. Now, I always recommend using a slightly lighter brow pencil than you might think, just to give a softer look. Brows can be an area that if we go a little too dark or a little too strong, it can kind of be a little harsh on the face. And I do feel as I get older, I just like more of a softness to my features. I like makeup, don't get me wrong, I love makeup, but I just want everything to have a softer overall feel. I used to do my brows very strong and very angular when I was in my 20s. That was also the style back then. And I have since changed that. So I do light little strokes rather than one, you know, strong line of filling in. I do light little strokes, little pressure, and I just kind of go in and create the shape that I want. When I get to the arch of my brow, I softly create a soft arch. I want it to look natural, but I also want to lift the eye a bit. So rather than go straight across, I kind of pull it up right in this area and then extend down. For brows, it's all about giving a natural looking lift. So following your natural brow shape, but then if you want to exaggerate it, you can. But I would always start by following your natural brow shape and then go in and enhance the areas that you feel you want to. So in this little area, I don't have any hair, so here's where I kind of will go and I will make my strokes upward to kind of lift the brow and create more of a lifted inner brow. And also look the illusion of like hair that's kind of growing up to give you that full fluffy brow. Perfect. Okay, so now I've got a good brow shape. It's nice and soft. The color is perfect. It's a really pretty kind of soft taupe shade, great for like hair color like mine or medium ashy browns or even blondes. Next, I'm going to go in and create volume for my brow. And I think this step really does create a softer brow, even though I'm adding additional product. I'm going to use this one. This is from Babe Brow. This is the Volumizing Brow Filler in the shade Taupe. I actually was gifted this at the Like to Know It conference maybe a couple weeks ago. Okay, so this is what the product looks like. This is my first time using it. Okay, so this is a little darker than I would normally use. I'm gonna try this on one eye. If it's just way too dark, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back in on the other eye and we'll do the Benefit Brow. So I can show you kind of how dark you wanna go. This is pretty, it's just kind of more of like a warm reddish brown. I do see little fibers in here, which is a good sign. When you're looking for a volumizing brow gel, look for something that has a little bit of fibers to it. Now, I always start at the kind of bulk of my brow here, and I'm just, ooh, this is nice. I'm gonna just kind of brush those hairs up, and then I'm gonna kind of run it back the opposite direction to really fluff that brow. Okay, this is nice. It's not too dark. It's a little darker than I normally go, but it's not too dark. So we start at the bulk of the brow, softly fan up, and then when you get to the middle of the brow before the brow arches, kind of run your wand the opposite direction to really fluff those brows, give them lots of volume. I think nice, fluffy, full brows just really kind of give a youthful look to the face. I think that's one area that we tend to see thinning out or just kind of fading as we get older, are our brows. Okay, so let's talk about powder. Powder is so important, you guys. Now, I know some people like to skip powder because powder just makes their skin look dry or it accentuates texture. I totally get it. Do whatever works for you. For me, I think I will always powder. I mean, never say never, but I think I will always powder. It's all about the powder formula that you choose and also the application method that you choose. Right now, you guys, I am loving this powder. This is the Givenchy Prisma Libre powder. And this is the shade 3. This is like the pinkish one. This has 4 different colors of powder in here, and they're all pink and rosy, but one's a little lighter, one's a little pinker, one's slightly a little peacher. What I love about this powder is, I'm gonna dump it in the lid here. I love this powder because it's very, very light. It does give a matte finish, very silky matte finish, and it really blurs texture. I'm talking about like erases pores, really smooths out underneath the eye. So it's kind of my favorite loose powder of the moment. Now you can apply this many different ways. You can use the little puff that comes in here. That's gonna really mattify the skin and give a flawless airbrushed finish. It's gonna be a little heavier. I actually like to control how much I apply with a brush. This is the BK Beauty 108 brush. And I'm just gonna go right in here to the little lid here, pick up a lot of it. I have way too much powder here. I do not need all of this. So I'm going to tap off the excess, and I'm going to start in the nose area just to kind of get some of that powder off, and then I'm going to softly press underneath the eyes to set that concealer. Softly press on the eyes to set that concealer. Then I'm going to take whatever's left and I'm going to softly set the center of my forehead, around the nose. I really want you to see how smooth this powder is. Now, I just like to really set the center of my face. That is one thing that's changed as I've gotten older. I used to apply powder all over the face, really lay it on. I used to bake. I don't do that anymore. I really have a very light hand with this powder. If there's one product that I will reapply throughout the day, it's powder. So let's just start with a little bit. And basically what I'm doing is I'm setting the areas that I need it. This is, if I tend to get shiny anywhere, it's right here. Also, I like to kind of set these smile lines here because that's where makeup can kind of migrate and crease. So I'm basically just setting those areas where we might have some creasing throughout the day. Okay, I'm keeping the cheeks unpowdered though. I'm gonna go in with cream products on the cheeks, and not that you can't mix cream and powder products, you can, but it really needs to be done carefully and thoughtfully. So I'm just going to avoid that area. Next, we're going in with bronzer and blush and highlight. Now, this is definitely something that I have migrated to over the last few years. If you've been watching my content, then you know I am a big fan of cream bronzers, cream blush, cream highlighters, liquid products. Not to say I never use powder bronzers and blush, because that's not true, I do, but I would say 8 out of 10 times that I apply my makeup, I'm using cream, bronzer, blush, and highlight. We're gonna go in and bronze the skin, and I'm using the Patrick Ta bronzer. This is the shade She's Bronzed. I love this product. In it, you get a cream bronzer, which has a nice little covering here, and then you also get a powder bronzer. So you can use one or the other, or you can use them both. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna use my little blush brush. This is the BK Beauty 112. I'm gonna go in and pick up some of the cream bronzer. I like to use brushes also that are very light and fluffy. I look for products, I look for brushes that really cater towards the application that I want to get. When I'm working with a cream bronzer, I want to have a lot of control over how much is applied on my skin. If I were to go in with something really dense, like say the 106, it's just going to pick up more product and deposit more product. Now, that's not bad. That's certainly not bad, but I'm not going for that. I want a little softer, sheerer look, and then I'll build it if I want more. And I'm gonna start right here, kind of right where my ear starts. And I'm going to softly sweep this onto the skin and just press, press, press. Now, again, if you're in a rush and you don't have a lot of time, you might wanna grab a denser brush to pack it on. I really wanna take my time here. As you can see, I'm building a nice, soft contour here. Contour bronzer, it's not really that cool tone, it's more warm tones. This is more of a bronzer, but we are still getting some definition and some shape. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. I want everything nice and soft. Now, as we get older, not only does our skin change, but kind of our face shape changes, right? Things start to, kind of settle a little bit more, fall down a little bit more. So placement is important as well. This trend to place our blush higher that's been going around the last year, that really lends itself to lifting the cheeks and lifting the face. And you can notice that I'm going a little bit higher here as well. Also, depending on your own face shape, these aren't rules, these aren't hard rules for everybody. It's all about understanding how contouring and highlighting works, and then kind of looking in the mirror and evaluating what are my best features? What do I want to accentuate? What do I want to feature? And then kind of working around that. So I have a kind of round face. I've lost some weight recently, so my face has kind of slimmed down a little bit, but I used to have a very round face, and I would always want to kind of define that and give myself a little more structure there. I'm also gonna take this bronzer just to tie it in, and I'm gonna just run it on the side of my nose. Slim that down a tiny bit, but even more so, just kind of tie the bronzer together. Now, I did use powder on there, remember, so I'm not gonna put a whole lot of cream, just a tiny bit. And then I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna kind of apply it right here on my temple. What I love about this brush is it's very soft and how it applies product. Perfect. Oh, okay, good. Next, we're gonna go in with blush, and what blush am I gonna use? Oh, you guys, I'm gonna use this blush. I've been loving this blush. This is from Laura Geller. It's the Beautiful Blossom Serum Blush. I think these are very, very mature skin friendly. So this is a serum blush. So again, remember when I was speaking about serum concealers or serum foundations, it's gonna have a beautiful spreadability. It's gonna be lightweight, and it's gonna be very hydrating. I'm actually going to just apply it on the back of my hand. This is another technique you'll see me do not only with blush, but you saw me do it with foundation. I will also do it with like a liquid eyeshadow or any products that are liquid that I want to have control over how they apply. A liquid highlighter, I'll always go to the back of my hand first. I'm gonna use the same brush. I'm gonna pick up the product on the tip of the brush. I'm not dunking it in and grabbing all of that product. That's not what you want to do. You just want to grab a little bit, kind of blot it on your hand too, just to get off any excess. Now, blush placement. I always like to smile, and this is something that I've had to embrace because blush is like my thing. It's like my signature thing. I love a lot of blush, and I've always loved to apply it in the same place, but I definitely need to embrace kind of what is a little more flattering to my face these days. So I like to smile. I always like to start at the apple of the cheek, just kind of bounce that and press that onto the skin. I will go up and back. Now, sometimes if I'm using a thicker cream blush, you'll see me do brush strokes downward. I'm moving it downward, but I'm moving the placement up. So I'm kind of creating this U shape. I don't want to say C, but more of a U shape. I want to see that color when I'm looking straight ahead. I want to see it on my cheeks, but I don't want to have it too far over. I really want it to lift the cheek. What I love about these blushes too is you can really layer them. You have a lot of control. And this particular shade is really nice and soft, so I am taking a little higher. I don't do this with every blush color, but if it's very light, I'll go a little bit higher with it. These are pretty because they just give a beautiful, healthy glow to the skin. These don't have any shimmer. I am going to be using a cream highlighter that has a little bit of shimmer to it. That's another thing that I have adjusted as I've gotten a little bit older is the amount of shimmer products that I use and the formula of shimmer products that I use. You can absolutely use shimmer at any age, and don't let anyone tell you you cannot. But I would really look for very beautiful, pearlescent, finely milled shimmer so that it's not sparkly or glittery. You want shimmer that just reflects light. Okay, that's so pretty. I cannot get over these blushes. They are so beautiful. They look good with a full face of makeup, and they look good on bare skin. I'm gonna go and apply a tiny bit more right here because we have a little more on the other side. Perfect, okay. Oh my gosh, so nice. That is so pretty. So next we're gonna go in and highlight the skin, and I'm using the new limited edition palette from Kira Weiss. This is the Signature Glow palette, and it has 3 beautiful pearlescent, lightweight cream highlighters here. You have a pretty color that has like some pink to it. You've got a really beautiful champagne color, and then you have a little bit of a gold as well. And I just like to use my fingers to apply these. I'm gonna go in with the champagne shade, and I'm gonna really warm it up with my finger. Kira Weiss has some really beautiful formulas that are beautiful on mature skin. I love their cream blush. Their cream bronzers are really nice. They have a hyaluronic serum that's also beautiful to use. Actually, I use that all over my skin in the morning before I apply my tinted SPF. So I'm gonna take this and I'm just gonna go and highlight a few key areas of the face. We're gonna start right here on just above where I placed the blush. I'm just gonna use my finger and pat this onto the skin. I'm kind of highlighting this orbital bone. What I love about this formula is it's a pearlescent, but it's a really refined pearlescent. So it's not going to accentuate texture. It's just gonna bounce light off the skin and really just light up the skin. It's so pretty. And I like to just use my finger to press. That way you're not gonna disrupt the foundation or concealer underneath it. You're just applying this directly on top. Do you see what that did? It's so pretty. Okay, next we're gonna go in and we're gonna use this more of a pink shade right here. And I'm going to warm it up on my finger, kind of blot it on my hand. And I'm just gonna kind of lightly tap the bridge of my nose a little bit to highlight that. I'm also gonna take a little bit of this and kind of run it underneath the eyebrow to give a soft bit of highlight there. Kind of place it by patting it on and then sweeping my finger back and forth. I like to highlight the brow and lift the brow, but one thing that I have changed as I've gotten a little bit older is I used to use really frosty shadows there. Now I like to use very refined, more like satin shimmer shades. So whether it's a cream product or a powder shadow, look for something that has a very soft pearlescent. This one is particularly beautiful. Okay, next I'm gonna go back in, I'm gonna take that lightest shade again, and I'm just going to kind of place that right above the arch of the brow, and just your finger will, just tapping it right above the arch of the brow, and it'll blend out for you. You don't need to go back and forth, you don't need to rub or disrupt that foundation, just to give a little bit of a glow. So now we have this really beautiful, healthy glow happening on the skin. Isn't that nice? So this is a beautiful palette. It's limited edition by Kira Weiss. I'm gonna link some of my other favorite products from Kira Weiss in the description box below. Their blush in the shade Blossoming. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. I would have used it today, but I left it at home. I have a small collection of makeup at home that's like my favorite daily used products, and that's what I keep there. And then the studio, I keep like all of the rest of my makeup. So I got here today and I wanted to grab that, but I had it at home. So I'm gonna list some of my favorite Kira Weiss products in the description box below, along with the Signature Glow set. I do want to thank them for sponsoring this portion of the video. Isn't that pretty? Actually, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna take this and we're gonna add a little bit more. I'm gonna take the light color and I'm gonna mix it. Actually, I'm gonna take the gold color. We're gonna take the gold and we're gonna mix it with the light. We're gonna do the 2 of those together. And I'm gonna place a little bit right here on the Cupid's bow. Not too much. If you apply too much, you can have like a sweaty looking lip. We don't want that. I'm just gonna apply it right above the Cupid's bow. And then I'm actually gonna kind of blend it on either side too, just so it's not so obvious there and it looks more natural. Perfect, okay, so pretty. Okay, so let's move on to eyes. Now I always prep and prime the eye. One of my favorite products to use is from MAC. It's their paint pot in the shade Soft Ochre. Now I wanna preface by saying that these are cream shadows that do dry down. I have heard from some of you guys that you feel like these are a little too drying for you. I can totally see how they could be. My tip for that, or for using any product like this, is to use your finger and apply a very, very small amount, a very thin layer. So I'm just gonna run this over my lid, and I'm using my middle finger so I can really have a nice pressure. I like to take it from the lashes up to right under where I put that highlight. If I didn't have that highlight there, I would take this all the way up to the brow. But really just be sure that you use good pressure so you have a sheer amount. You don't want this to build up because this is a long wearing product, and when it sets, it sets. So if you apply too much, it can certainly give a dry down and not look so appealing. So even take a clean finger like I am right now and just, as extra insurance, just run a clean finger over it to absorb any excess. So now you just have this light layer. It's brightened the eyelid, it's canceled out any darkness, and it's also gonna give the shadow something to adhere to. Okay, so for shadows, I'm gonna be working with the new Charlotte Tilbury holiday palette. This is called the Beautyverse palette, and it's a very beautiful palette. I don't know that it's a great everyday palette. There's some fun sparkly shades in here, and there's some neutrals here as well. It's just a new product. I actually had this on in a Instagram reel that I filmed, and I had so many people ask, what is on your eyes? So I thought I'd play with it in today's video. It is mature eye friendly for sure, but it's just not a great everyday palette. So I want to preface that. If you're looking for a great kind of basic everyday, there are so many other better options. We're gonna go ahead and start, and I'm actually gonna go in with this shade right here, this middle kind of warm shimmery bronze. And I'm gonna take a crease brush. I'm using the BK Beauty 212, and we're gonna pick up that product, kind of tap off the excess. I'm gonna start on the lid and then kind of work and diffuse up into the crease. This isn't just staying in the crease, this is gonna be all over the lid and into the crease. And I like to use this brush so that I apply a nice light layer of it. Tools are so important in application, you guys. It's not just product. You can get a completely different effect with the exact same product in the exact same shade just by using a different brush to apply it. I want a very diffused look, so I want something fluffy and soft to help me achieve that. If I were using a flat, dense brush, I really wouldn't be able to get this soft, diffused look. I'd have more impact, and I wouldn't have as soft of a blend. One thing I do on my eyes that has changed over the years is really take my time blending. Really just soften everything up. So beautiful. What are some of your favorite techniques? Or what are some ways that you've changed your makeup technique, I guess, as you've gotten a little bit older? Are there any products that you used to love that you no longer wear? And on the other side of that, are there products now that you love that you just feel work so great for your skin? So next I'm gonna go in and do this pop of shimmer on the eye. This is very beautiful. It's really gonna brighten up the eye. Now when it comes to wearing shimmer on the eyes, this is another myth I want to debunk. You can absolutely wear shimmer on the eye at any age, period. At the end of the day, do what you love. If you feel beautiful in something, I don't care what everyone else tells you. If you feel beautiful, you do it, okay? So we're gonna go in with this shade right here, and I'm gonna use my finger to apply it. These topper shades are very sparkly, but they're kind of sheer in color, and I find that they really lay best on the skin when you use your finger. So I'm gonna use my finger, and I'm just gonna go in and press this right here in the inner corner, just tapping it to really deposit that, and then I'm gonna kind of stop. With these, if you blend too much or you rub too much, you're gonna kind of lose that impact. So just go and press. This formula is a little bit drier, like the sparkle doesn't stick as well as some others, so just press with your finger and try not to go back and forth too much. I'm gonna take a clean brush, I'm just gonna kind of run it right here to kind of clean up any fallout that just happened. And then I'm gonna take this clean brush and I'm just gonna run over right in the inner corner a little bit because I needed to kind of soften that out. I'm gonna take this brush. I don't think it's gonna pick up much of the shimmer, but let's give it a try. There we go. We have some shimmer, we have some highlight there. I'm just not going too heavy with it. I'm getting just what I need and then I'm kind of stepping away. I do want to intensify this outer corner a bit. I'm gonna take a small brush. This is a BK Beauty 209 and I'm gonna load it up with this nice pretty reddish brown shade. I tap off the excess and then I'm gonna just place it right here on the outer corner. These top shimmers in this palette, these are really beautiful shimmers. They're very soft, they have a nice sheen to them. They're not heavy, they're not too sparkly. They're like in between a matte and a shimmer. So one thing you can do is use a small brush to pack it on, get the amount of intensity that you want, and then go with a softer crease brush to soften the edges. I didn't add any of that dark shadow on this brush. I'm just using it to soften out the edges. So use a small brush to apply and then use a fluffy brush to soften and blend. Okay, so this little technique of lightness in the inner corner and darkness in the outer corner, this really helps open the eye. If you're dealing with hooded eyes or you're dealing with your eye shape kind of drooping a little bit, try this technique. Your placement might be a little different, but the idea is lightness in the inner corner and slightly darker in the outer. You don't have to go super dark. We don't have to do black. We don't have to use a smoky color. Just use something dark enough to contrast with that light color. Next, I'm gonna line the eyes. One thing that I have really gravitated to over the years is swapping out my black liners for beautiful, rich browns. Now, if you love black liner, keep rocking your black eyeliner, okay? For my particular features, I have lighter hair, I have lighter eyes. You know, I'm kind of light, medium skin tone. Dark brown really gives me the intensity that I want. want and that I need. I don't need anything harsher than that. So I'm gonna go in with this pencil from Sephora. This is the retractable eyeliner. It's waterproof and the shade is brown. And I'm just going to create, I always start on the outer corner. Liner is one thing I have definitely adjusted to as I get older and my eye shape has changed. I try and keep my liner pretty thin. At its thickest part, it's gonna be the thickest right here in the outer corner, but I try and keep it very thin because I don't have a whole lot of space on the eye and I don't want to take that all up with a dark liner. So I always start in the outer corner and I create a little bit of a line to define the lash line. And if I can, I will kind of fade that off about midway through the lash line. I rarely take my liner all the way to the inner corner. Sometimes things don't work out as planned and maybe I can't transition that line seamlessly, so maybe it goes a little bit further than I would like, but the goal is always to keep the liner on the outer half and keep it thickest at the outer corner. One technique that you can do if you have very small eyelids or hooded eyes is skip liner above the lashes and always tight line. I do want to say this, with tight lining, you guys, and putting liner up in that waterline, if you have dry eyes or sensitive eyes, it's really not going to help your case. I have very dry eyes and I used to always tight line my eyes. And as I learned, as I started seeing my eye doctor, is that we have little oil glands there. And one of the causes of dry eye is that the oil glands get clogged from debris, pollution, makeup, and it prevents your oil glands from working properly and lubricating the eye. So I think a little bit harder before I tight line. I really save tight lining for special occasions, for photo shoots, things like that. Okay, I have a good line here. I'm going to skip lining my lower lash line. This is another thing that I have really embraced, is keeping the lower lash line lighter and a little bit cleaner. So I'm still gonna define it, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with a little smudge brush. This is the 209. And I'm gonna take an eyeshadow and I'm gonna start with this shade right here. I don't wanna use something too dark, but because I'm using a small dense brush, it's gonna actually translate and look darker than you might think. So I'm gonna run this on my lower lash line and I'm gonna start at the outer corner. I'm gonna work my way over. Now I might decide to go in with a darker shadow to give a little bit more definition, but I always like to start with a lighter shadow and then build up if I want to. So I do want a little bit more. I'm gonna go in with this shade right here, and we're going to just run this right on the outer corner. I'm not taking it all the way over, I'm taking it in the outer corner. Perfect, okay, we are good. Eyes are almost done. Okay, I cannot get over the skin right now. This combination of everything I used on my skin, I am absolutely loving. This is gonna be my go-to. Everything, like together, it just looks so, so good. Okay, next I am gonna curl my lashes. It's an easy step to skip, but it does make a difference in opening the eyes. And I'm gonna go in and apply some lash primer. Look for a lash primer that has conditioning agents that actually helps improve the health of your lashes rather than just lash primer that makes your mascara look more intense. Okay, and I'm gonna go in with mascara next. The mascara that I have today, I'm actually testing a new one. This is from Babe Lash, which is the same brand of that brow gel that we used. And this is the 4 Real Mascara. It says it's lengthening, stem cell infused, and easy to remove. Okay, let's give this a try, shall we? Okay, I do like the wand. It has nice little tiny teeth. I can tell that it will do a great job of separating. Wow. Okay, that is pretty impressive, you guys. Wow. This is dramatic mascara. I like it. I like this mascara. Okay, I'm getting lots of length and volume, and it's separating really beautifully. And I'm able to kind of fan out with this wand. I'm really able to kind of fan out and spread those lashes in the inner corner. Oh my gosh, that is beautiful. Look at that. Wow. Okay, let's go do the other side. If you are still hanging out on this video, please drop a line. I think this is one of my longer videos. So drop me a little note that says I'm still here. One thing with lash primer, I always like to apply my mascara before the lash primer completely dries. That way the lashes are still, like you can still spread them. They're not dry. You can still kind of manipulate the lash how you want it. I love this mascara, you guys. It's very, very good. It's definitely more of a lengthening. I'm getting some volume, but I wouldn't call this a volumizing mascara. It's definitely lengthening. Okay, look at those lashes. I'm gonna pop a tiny bit on the bottom lashes. This is definitely something that I have changed over the years. I used to really layer on the mascara on the lower lashes, but Not anymore. I just want to coat them so there's some definition, but I don't want a heavy bottom mascara. I think it can really weigh the eye down, but even more than that, I get a lot of people that ask me, like, I get raccoon eyes throughout the day, or my makeup runs no matter what concealer I use, no matter what eyeliner I use. And it's hard to really pinpoint what the issue might be, but I think one of the biggest culprits is the mascara that we're using, and it's just applying too much of that. You know, those oils can really transfer from either your concealer or from your eyeliner, and when they marry with a heavy mascara, it's kind of hard to come back from that and repair that. So keep the mascara light if you can. Really use that liner underneath to intensify and to give definition to the lower lash line, but try and avoid applying too much mascara. Okay, you guys, let's talk about lips. Really excited about lips. One thing that I recommend doing is applying a lip balm before you start the makeup process. I did so off camera. I used the Pixi Botanical Collagen lip gloss. This is a really nice one. My lips still have it. It's definitely kind of absorbed into my lips from when I first apply this. Always hydrate the lips before your application starts. So by the time you get to your lips are plump and they're hydrated. It's very difficult to have lips that are full and look healthy when they're very dry. My lips are always very dry, especially this time of year. And I'm just getting into this time of year. Come November, December, my lips are gonna be so dry. I'm gonna go in and slightly overline the lips. I'm using Iconic Nude from Charlotte Tilbury. This is a nice kind of beigey nude pinkish. It's not really pink, it's kind of more of a beigey nude. And I'm going to slightly overline the lips. Now, I'm not gonna be able to talk as I'm doing this, so I wanna explain what I'm gonna do. I'm going to line the outer part of the lip line. I'm not lining outside of the lip line. I'm basically starting on the lip line, and I'm gonna go back and forth and create like a thick line that kind of spreads just on the outer ridge of the lip line, if that makes sense. I'm also going to sketch it thick enough to where it blends into my lip so that I don't have this very obvious overlined lip, because then when your lipstick fades, you know, in 3 or 4 hours, you're gonna have like this lip line around the lip. You don't want that. You want it to look very natural when it fades off. So we're gonna go in and do that. So you can see I'm going back and forth, just kind of creating that line naturally to get a little thicker. Okay, I wanna kind of show you already what's happening here. So when I get to the Cupid's bow, I will slowly start to overline that area in particular. Okay, do you guys see the difference here between this side and here? Quite a difference, right? Also having that highlight right there really makes a difference. All right, look at those lips. Love it. Okay, next I'm gonna go in and add some color. I'm using the Makeup Forever Nude Cream, and this is the shade 01. It's kind of a peachy, nudie shade. Haven't used this in a while. This is a really beautiful, lightweight, oh, this color's nice. It's like a beigey rose shade. Okay, so we're gonna apply this on the lips. Very opaque. In fact, I'm just swatching it on the lower lip, and then I'm gonna blot it to blend out on the upper lip. I didn't even apply any on the upper lip. When it comes to lips, if you're gonna layer a lot of lip products, keep in mind I had on the lip balm, then I put lip liner, I'm putting this product, and then I'm gonna go in and add a gloss. I don't want thick, heavy layers on the lip. So I just did one on the lower lip, that's all I needed. Blot it together. Ooh, this lip is pretty. It's giving me very like 90s nude lips. If you can remember that decade of nude lips, it kind of reminds me of that. Okay, and last I'm going to gloss. Now, I typically always wear a gloss. Sometimes I'll do the liner lipstick and a gloss, but most days I'll do just a gloss that's nicely pigmented that'll give me color to the lips and give me shine. Today, I'm gonna be using one of my favorite lip plumping glosses. This is by City Beauty. This is probably one of my favorite lip plumping glosses. It just is very plumping and volumized. I mean, the lips just look dramatically more plump when I use these. I have two of them here. I have the clear one, and then I have the shade Sun Diego. I wasn't sure which one I want to do. I think I'm going to do clear because I don't want to alter the color of this too much. I'm really loving this color. And I'm just going to apply a little bit of this in the center of the lip. And I always like to take the tip of it and kind of trace that lip line. Tracing that lip line is also going to give really full looking lips. Even if you don't use the lip liner and you just do this, just tracing that lip line with a clear lip plumper is gonna give healthy, full looking lips. That's crazy. My lips look like twice the size they did when I started this video. So that wraps it up, you guys. I hope you took away something from this video. I hope you learned some new trick or technique that you can implement into your makeup routine. If you did, let me know down below. That's always the best feedback to read. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.